year we have recognized individuals who, in the spirit of founding board member the late Abraham Krasnov, have a steadfast commitment to addressing the policies and practices that create racial inequity. This year, as we celebrate the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and the 60th anniversary of the Supreme Court's decision in Brown versus Board of Education, we honor 3 civil rights organizations for their outstanding advocacy in advancing civil rights and the rule of law. It is my honor to recognize the first of the organizations to receive the Abraham Krasnov Courage and Commitment Award, the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund. The fund is the granddaddy of legal defense funds that have been established to defend the rights of Hispanics, women, Asian Americans, gays, the disabled, and similar organizations in our country and in many other countries. The fund, once headed by Thurgood Marshall, is now led by Sherilyn Ifill. Lawyers for the fund launched the civil rights revolution in this country with their victory in Brown versus Board of Education. While education has been a priority for the fund, it also has challenged discrimination in such areas as public facilities, voting, employment, housing, the imposition of the death penalty, and sentencing law. The fund has served as counsel to many civil rights leaders, including Dr. Martin Luther King, and has been prominent on Capitol Hill championing needed legislation, such as the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Our country has largely avoided bloody street demonstrations to change our laws. We have looked to the courts for redress, and leading us down this path for so many years, we have come to rely on the lawyers for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund. It is with pleasure that I call upon Vincent Sutherland, Senior Counsel, to accept the Abraham Krasnov Award on behalf of the NAACP Legal Defense Fund.
First of all, I want to thank Erase Racism for honoring the NAACP Legal Defense Fund with this tremendous award. I bring you greetings from LDF and our Director Counsel, Sherilyn Ifill, and a deep and abiding appreciation for this award and all that it represents. Erase Racism's advocacy at the intersection of race and housing, education, and public health has, since 2001, transformed communities on Long Island, reverberated throughout the Northeast, and affected change across the country. And what critical work it is. Critical work being done on behalf of real people. In many ways, I think it's safe to say that the Legal Defense Fund, Erase Racism, and all of those being honored tonight are kindred spirits. Your work in fair housing and education and public health strikes at the very core of LDF's overriding mission for the last 7 decades, since its inception by Thurgood Marshall, to achieve racial justice, equality, and an inclusive society by forcing America to live up to the constitutional promises made by its founders. That was the spirit that animated one of our other honorees tonight, the Civil Rights Act of 1964. One of the most important pieces of civil rights legislation in America's history, something that literally transformed our country and banned discrimination across the range of public life. It was a law that was built on the moral force that brought us here tonight. It was forged with the courage of countless and nameless others who gave their lives to a struggle in the hopes that tomorrow would bring about a better day. It was a law that was passed despite bitter opposition from people like Senator Richard Russell of Georgia, who promised on the Senate floor to resist to the bitter end any measure or any movement which would have a tendency to bring about social equality and intermingling and amalgamation of the races in the southern states. It confronted unflinchingly the cruel and pernicious influence of race and did something about it, providing us all with the tools to dismantle segregation and institutionalized racism. Today, we at LDF continue to use those tools in earnest with an aim of crafting a better democracy for everyone. Our work focuses on removing the barriers to educational opportunity for all, eradicating discrimination in employment and at the ballot box, working to remove the taint of racial bias in the criminal justice system. Through litigation and advocacy, public education, grit, struggle, and determination, slowly but surely we've seen progress. We've also seen retrenchment and resistance, ignorance and intolerance, from the seemingly everyday news items about people making off-color remarks to the data that demonstrates the persistent and stark racial disparities across a range of parts of our lives. We live with steady and sobering reminders of how much more there is to be done. But yet we remain hopeful. We are by no means at the end of this journey, but we are in a place today that was unimaginable a generation ago, perhaps even 10 years ago. The question really is, what is required to continue the forward march of progress? Hope and courage, the same tools that have always been required in the past. We must continue to confront racism, the divisions of difference, and discrimination that plagues our lives in ways large and small, seen and unseen. And we must remain committed, hopeful that better days lie ahead. I think it's only fitting that I leave you with the words of Thurgood Marshall, LDF's founder and first director counsel. They seem like an appropriate call to action in an appropriate moment in our nation's history. We cannot play ostrich. Democracy cannot just flourish amid fear. Liberty cannot bloom amid hate. Justice cannot take root amid rage. America must get to work. In the chill climate in which we live, we must go against the prevailing wind. We must dissent from the indifference. We must dissent from the apathy. We must dissent from the fear, the hatred, and the mistrust. We must dissent from a nation that has buried its head in the sand, waiting in vain for the needs of the poor, its elderly and its sick to disappear and just go away. We must dissent from a government that has left its young without jobs, education, or hope. We must dissent from the poverty of vision and the absence of moral leadership. We must dissent because America can do better, because America has no choice but to do better. Whether our struggle is against discrimination or employment, in education or the administration of criminal justice, or in securing the right to vote, or in any other facet of our lives, racial justice and equality will continue to be our guiding principles. We will stand alongside all of you and continue that struggle together. Continue to work to bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice. I want to thank Erase Racism for this award. It's an honor to be here. Thank you all.